Oh. All right, now we're being recorded. I would just open it up. Is there any public participation? Seeing none. Approval of the meeting minutes. The meeting minutes from April 20th, 2023. Steve wasn't there and I prepared the minutes and they're about 80% done. And I haven't got, I did not make the time, basically, is the reason why, right? I did not make the time to finish them. I apologize for that. But I will, and we'll have to review them at a later date. So the other meeting minutes were May 9, 2023, the FinCom Forecasting Subcommittee. That was in the link also sent by Sherry. Entertain a motion on that.
I'll move that we accept the minutes of the subcommittee.
Second?
I'll second it. This is Dan.
Yep,
Second.
Dan's on the phone. Thank you, Dan. Any discussion on the May 9, 2023 Finance Committee Forecasting Subcommittee meeting minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, Dan?
Aye.
Aye.
Dawn, yes. Doug, no, Jim Sullivan was there. Okay, the minutes are approved. Doug would not normally be there, but he's not. Very good, thank you. So reserve fund transfers, Kevin or Steve can explain it better probably than I, but end of the year transfers are sometimes needed to account for abnormal or unforeseen items. So that be true, Kevin or Steve?
Kevin told me to be quiet tonight, so I'm turning it right over to him.
Kevin?
Okay, reserve funds, the updated total that went out this afternoon was for all the reserve funds were $235,370. There is $400,000 in the reserve fund. If all these are voted, leave a balance of $164,630. First one is for Treasurer Department salaries. The amount is for $11,585. We had a longtime employee that was with the town for 36 years. Her last day was actually today. And we hired someone, got them a couple months of training before the person in the treasurer's office retired. And because of that, we need a reserve fund transfer of the $11,585.
Very good. We voting on everything at the end. Is that all right, parliamentary wise? Yep, very good. Any comments, discussion on that one? No hands. Kevin?
Excellent. Next one is for legal expense for the town's legal library. There was $6,200 appropriated at the beginning of the year. We were in great shape almost through the end of May. We had expended about $4,400 of that. And then the legal updates came through for the end of May, totaled almost $9,600. Therefore, we went over budget and we are requesting a reserve fund transfer in the amount of $7,785.
Very good. Questions on that? All right, I think the library is not a stack of books anymore, Kevin, right? It's all updates and so forth to electronic media.
Some is electronic and there is also some hard copy involved.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
No questions?
Good.
Next one is the town clerk's salary line item. This was something I had mentioned earlier in the year. At the beginning of the year, we had a long time employee or long-term employee retire. That person received buyback for sick and vacation time. At that point in time, if we did a reserve fund, it would have cost, her buyout was about $22,000. So there was some savings throughout the year. We need $17,070 to close out the town clerk salary line item.
Questions on that? Very good.
Next one is Conservation Commission salaries. Tremendous amount of construction going on in Wakefield. This department has been very busy. For fiscal '24, we also increased the hours in their budget. I think I mentioned that during the budget process. There was work that was needed to be done in fiscal '23. So for the additional hours, we need a reserve fund transfer for Conservation Commission salaries of $12,250.
Questions there? Who are those folks? Is that office related or?
That's correct. Yes,
Thank you.
there are two part-time people that work in the office, and we needed to bring them on for additional hours.
They're the agents. They go out on site. and-
The agents, okay.
Yeah, the agents.
Yeah. No questions, thank you.
All set. Next one is Board of Appeals. Again, with all the construction going on in town, a lot of people are coming before the Board of Appeals. When we budget this budget, we usually average around 50 hearings a year, except for the past couple of years. This year, we've had 91 hearings, collected almost a little over $33,000 in revenue. So for the additional hearings for fiscal '23, we need an additional $10,500 to close this out.
Did it break even?
Almost. I think we're a couple $1,000 short. But that happens sometimes. You know, one year we could collect $60,000 and spend 30. So it's all a timing and how long the hearings last.
Anybody else? No other questions, thanks, Kev.
Next one is the insurance premium budget. We're looking for a reserve fund transfer of $14,005. This is for the year-end vehicle wrap-up endorsement. So vehicles get put on and taken off during the year. This is something that, you know, it's estimated when John Spinello comes before you with his budget. Pretty close this year. We went over by a small amount, so we need to do a reserve fund for $14,005 to close that out.
Comments, questions?
Sorry, that's 1,405, not 14,000.
I'm sorry, correct. 1,405.
Pretty darn close.
All right, next.
Next one is the professional medical expense. This budget is used to pay for physicals for town employees and also for drug testing. There was quite a bit of turnover in the town this year, so there was more physicals given than usual. And then also there was additional drug testing done this year that put this over. Total request is $6,500.
Anybody? Okay, thank you.
Next one is the fire department salary budget. We have Mike Sullivan on, the chief, if there's any specific questions. This budget, looking to close this out, we need a reserve fund transfer of $52,380. Overtime was high again this year. And also in that amount, there was a retirement of a longtime employee that got a buyout of $24,000 for sick leave buyback and vacation time.
Questions on that? Evan?
Yeah, I'm actually seeing, Chief, this might be a welcome question for you. This seems like a low, you know, comparative to like the last 3 or 5 years, this seems like a low amount to transfer for overtime. You know, the retirement's a one-off thing. I get that. Are we making progress there? Like, like, can someone remind me of the numbers there? Like, did we increase the budget too? Like, is there are we seeing progress here? Because I feel like just looking at this at a glance, it looks like we're making progress on the overtime front.
Well, we are making increases in the budget every year. We increased the size of the department to 55 members. I asked for $50,000 more in overtime. We're getting there. I'm hoping that within another year or two that the levels will be at what we actually spend in a fiscal year.
Yeah, no, it's a tough problem. I get it, but it looked. I mean, I was underwhelmed by the severity of the problem, and I think that's a good thing. So, and by the way, Chief, I hope you're doing well. I know you were out for a while there, and I'm happy to see you back on one of these meetings. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
Can I just step in real quick, Jim? I do
Please,
want
yeah.
to mention that there was, town council did vote some ARPA funds for the fire department overtime. There was $140,000 voted from ARPA.
all right. So, go ahead,
So
Kevin.
when that was voted several months ago, it was an estimate of how much we thought they were going to need for the end of the year. And at that point, we hadn't calculated in the retirement that happened. So they are doing somewhat better, but there was money appropriated. At town meeting, there was an article to do a supplemental appropriation for certain budgets. We didn't need to do that because town council did vote some money for the fire department.
So, Kevin, I'm wondering if, it's not a big rush. We're at the end of the fiscal year, and the budget's already passed for the next fiscal year. So, it's not a big rush. But I wonder if we can do like a 3 to 5 year look back on overtime spend versus budget.
Sure.
And just if you could get that out to us, I think it's because it's something we've been talking about for a few years now, and Wakefield's not alone in that regard.
Yep.
But it would be nice to measure, the degree to which the staffing increase is helping the overtime problem, and maybe include ARPA in that as a separate column, just to show supplemental appropriations.
Either supplemental up or if there are other funds available.
Yeah. Let's look at the initial, budget appropriation, and then,
Right.
factor in the supplemental appropriation from ARPA. Again, no rush. If you can do it, great.
Yep.
It would be good to see that sort of metric.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Doug Butler. Doug, you're real squeaky.
We got the finance committee to give some more money for Doug Butler to get a better hookup.
No, he just needs to lay off the nitrous oxide or
The
whatever it is
nitrous
that's going on.
The helium.
Doug, can you hear us? What do you got? Nothing yet.
Is that better?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
there you go.
Thank you.
Use a different speaker. I had my laptop open at the same time because it wasn't connecting to Bluetooth. But yeah, actually, I guess that's the question is it's at about 200 grand in real terms. It's not, which is a little less than it's been in the past. But we shouldn't, we should expect 200 again next year. I think we could have 100 firefighters and we'd still end up with $200,000 more in overtime spending. But so, yeah, I'm not sure as you do that thing for us, Kevin, and I think Chief, I'm not sure if it's you or if it would be Kevin, but you can give us the number of firefighters you have for each of those years, just because again, we had 48 not that long ago.
Yeah, we're at 55 now.
Yeah, we had 48 and we had, 350,000 on overtime, so. Again, having 55 and 200,000 in extra overtime, it's not saving us enough.
Yeah, Doug, we also raised the staffing level per shift.
Of that I'm aware of, Chief.
Okay,
You
I'm just saying that would
know
affect,
where I stand on that one.
yeah, well, I'm just saying that would affect the overtime.
Okay. All right.
All right, so we'll look for that information. Still sounds like it's an opportunity area based on some of the dialogue. Okay.
Are we out of ARPA money for next year? Like, can they do it again next year? Is there more to be spent?
Yes.
Yes, there is to be appropriated, Steve, right? Used by 25.
We have about 2 million left in unappropriated ARPA funds. We need to appropriate it by December of 2024 and need to spend it by December of 2026.
26, okay.
We really have to be careful the next couple of years to not, keep putting ARPA money on stuff that we're gonna then have to cover ourselves.
Nope, for sure. All right, anybody else on fire? Okay, Kev, next.
Next one is a
Thanks, Chief.
reserve fund. A reserve fund transfer for the fire alarm and traffic signal budget for their salaries of $2,160. This budget, I was concerned about halfway through the year. Spoke to Captain Hudson over at the fire department, who heads up this department. He told me that they were, as it got colder out, that they were going to slow down and basically just do emergency work from there on out. Couple big projects happened towards the beginning of spring. It forced him to come out and do some pole changeovers on North Ave. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but they took out the poles that were right along the street, all the way up from Church Street up through 128. So he did a lot of work there. So it put him a little bit over. Need $2,160 to close out that budget.
Okay, questions or comments on that? Excuse me. Yes, Dennis.
The moving back of those poles, upsizing them, at whose request were those done?
That was a DPW project that they're doing bike lanes, I think.
Well, shouldn't this be funded out of it? Interdepartmental, it should be covered under that.
Yeah, I guess that's potentially like a federal money or something, Kev, not that you would know all of that, but
I haven't seen the federal money on that. I wasn't sure if that was a DPW project or a
Yeah.
light department project.
There is some federal funds, but that's mainly for the water main, the water upgrade in that area.
okay.
So I guess, Dennis, it would come out of either this department or another.
Where it's gonna come out of, but the funds that they got additional to move back those poles, it should be an allocation.
That was probably, we're gonna go over that anyway, because that was mainly for the water main upgrade. And for some of the roadway work, but I can look into it, but if I can get it back to them, I will, but I think for this purposes, I'd need the vote because I have 1 day left in the fiscal year.
Not gonna hold it up, but the MLD isn't coming after us for money for the BPW to move
No.
back the poles, so, I
No.
mean, somebody's covering their cost.
I'll check on that, Dennis.
Okay.
Anybody else? Kevin?
Next one is the vocational school budget. We had 3 extra students at Essex North in fiscal '23 and 1 additional student at Minuteman. When we budgeted Essex North, we budgeted 1 extra student. We ended up with 4. speaking with the people up at Essex North, where we're out of district, they do it by lottery and by interviewing the students. When I spoke with them, they told me if we got one student in, we'd be lucky. If we got two in, we hit the lottery. We ended up with 4, so we hit the lottery a couple times there.
I
Total
knew
budget is-
Mayo looked happy.
No, I'm not happy.
So for those 4 additional students, need a reserve fund transfer for $85,235.
Okay, Ed,
And Kevin, we added that in the budget for next fiscal year, right?
That's correct, right?
So Kevin, you don't know, you're not notified till sometime in the fiscal year, after the fiscal year started. In terms
That's
of
correct.
So that makes
That's
it very difficult to budget, yeah.
That's
Right.
correct.
But
Especially
notified
Essex
October.
North, they're interviewing students probably in May and June. And so they're not, those students really don't know until probably sometime in the beginning of the fiscal year. And I won't know until I see a bill probably come September or October.
Yeah, so it's an educated guess, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
thanks. Brian,
So will the new VOC perhaps reduce the number of folks who are looking for, placements at Essex and other sort of out of district vocational schools or not, do you think?
Well, the Essex North is really specialized in. It's the old Essex Aggie, so they have programs there that are not offered at the Northeast Regional.
so likely not, I guess,
Yeah,
Brian.
so no.
I think it will help with the Minuteman though, Brian,
Yeah,
as there'll be more
okay.
programs, but with Essex, that's very specialized.
anybody else? Kevin,
Last one is the Medicare expense budget. This is something I had mentioned during the budget process. We were going to be looking for a reserve fund transfer. We thought it was going to be about $30,000, have it down to 28,500. We're hoping to cut it even less by another 8,000 for a chargeback that we were trying to get the school to cover for the school lunch program. That was not voted, so the request is still $28,500.
Ed,
So I was very curious on that, Kevin, school lunch reimbursement. So these would be school department employees employed by the school hot lunch program, correct?
That's correct.
So we may get reimbursement for that particular revolving fund, but we don't get reimbursement for any other school department employees in some of the other revolving funds.
Well, there are 2 that we did get reimbursement for Medicare. One was for the Wakefield Academy, and one was for the preschool program. We were hoping that the school would pick up $8,000 for the school lunch. They did not.
Well, we were certainly hoping for that, given our discussion this past fiscal year of the finance committee with the school department employees.
Yes.
I think that they should, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
is there somebody else with a hand up? Are they good? All right. I don't see anybody else. All right, we need to vote on the total amount for the reserve fund transfers. Is that correct, Steve?
Yep, as presented, absolutely.
Can I get a motion to that effect from someone?
I move $235,375 for the purposes of the reserve fund transfers.
Second.
Point of order, 370, not 375.
Oh, sorry, 370. Can't even read my own handwriting.
That was Joe, that was seconded by Evan, is that right?
Yep.
Thank you. Any discussion, additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Dan, I may have spoke over you. I assume you said aye.
Correct.
Thank you. Unanimous. Okay. Committee comments. Ed,
Just a question, the reserve fund, Kevin, you stated the balance was what, 400,000? I'm sorry.
The budget was 400,000. After this spend, it leaves $164,630.
And how do we replenish the fund? Is it through via free cash appropriations, or what's the, is there a standard balance that we like to keep the reserve fund at?
It's a budget that was passed at town meeting, so it goes
Okay.
back up to 400,000.
Okay, that's great. And does that count in terms of our 10% reserve ratio that we hope to be at this particular fund? I'm just curious.
I don't count it.
I don't count it.
Okay,
Well, does DOR? I think that's probably the question that Ed's asking.
so I know that
I don't think so.
unassigned fund balance, is a ratio, I think, usually unassigned fund balance on the financial statements, 10% vis-a-vis, general fund revenues. I just don't know if this is part of the unassigned fund balance. That's probably a very technical question. Yeah, DOR probably have to answer that, yeah.
It's an operating account, right, Kevin? I mean, it's a operating budget.
Budget.
item like-
Yes,
like-
yes.
so-
So this 164 will close back to the general fund, which will then
Right.
become part of the undesignated fund balance,
Right.
part of free cash.
Maybe, I'm just saying, maybe Ed's onto something, that maybe there's a different way to do this, where it's not an operating, expense account, where it gives us more credit with DOR. I don't know if that's what you're getting at, Ed, but that's. what I'm-
Well, the reserve fund is a statutory fund in the Mass General laws, so it's probably considered a reserve fund. As Kevin said, it flows then to unassigned fund balance, which is part of the ratio for your reserve ratio. So I guess that answers the question. Yeah.
all right. Is there somebody else with a hand up? All right, just a couple things. So this wraps up the activity through this fiscal year. As Steve said, it ends in a couple of days. And we go on recess for a while till the fall timeframe. Dave Mastriani has tendered his resignation. So he was due this year to renew. There were several other people up for renewal. I sent emails to those folks. And I can keep you posted via email to let you know what openings we have. But we have one opening right now. I'm not saying it's going to go up. I don't think it is. Several people have already replied. So typically there's about 5 people every year that rotate off, and that's what's occurred. So we have one opening, and I'll keep you posted on that. I sent an email as well. The chairman person's ship is every 3 years. I thought about it and I offered to stay on additionally 3 years. I didn't get any negative feedback, so that's I'll take that, I guess. But so again, if somebody wants to do it, we have a process for that. If I don't hear from anybody, myself, Doug would remain as the chairperson at the vice chair, and we'll go at it again with most of the same players and most of the same process in the fall. So and really that's it. I did reach out to the school department, asking them how things are going towards the end of the fiscal year, and looking for what's going to possibly get returned, what's going to possibly be left in revolving accounts. And Steve was on a meeting last night or the other night, and I listened in on it as well, on the chargebacks, I guess you'd call it, Steve. Is it chargeback?
Correct.
Looking for about 140, got about 70 through the school committee. Interesting dialogue, a split school committee for quite a while. I basically take that as a good sign, but ultimately they did appropriate 70,000 back against the chargeback. That's in this fiscal year. And then we're still looking for hopefully some return cash to free cash after they close. And they end at the end of the month as well, but they don't close yet. They have several weeks to do their thing, as many people may know. So I sort of asked for some feedback on that and got an email back saying that Doug's kind of tied up for a few weeks, but Doug Lyons, but he would do his best to get something together for us. So just letting you know that that's out there. Any comments on that?
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, and exactly. On a sidebar, they basically haven't returned much in about 8 or 9 years. So we're cracking open an ice rink, it feels like, but we'll see. That was sort of all I think I had for comments. There's a possibility of going face to face in the fall and into the next term. There's a desire that there still be a Zoom component for recording. But I've talked to Steve. I prefer to be face to face. This is very convenient, and I'm not taking that away from anything. But we'll see what happens in the fall.
We'll see a hybrid.
Yeah. Thank you,
If you want to do it, yeah.
Stefan.
Hi, last time we met with the school, there was a request for them to provide some Excel-based data that we could parse through. Unless I missed it, I'm not sure I received anything from them.
Correct. We did not. And it's still an open item. I mentioned it to Doug when I spoke to him about it, that, we continue to try to work together and be as transparent as we can. And you all want and need that. And he understands that. And going to Munis is not an appropriate response. So don't have it for this activity. Would hope looking to have it for the next activity, Stefan. That's what I know. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jim,
Yeah.
one other item you
Yes.
throw out there for everybody is if they want to change subcommittee assignments, in terms of put your preferences to Jim regarding if you want to make a change or drop out of a subcommittee or get on another subcommittee.
Right. I'll put that out. I usually try to put that out in the August timeframe, but yes, give it some thought, folks, or drop me a line. And we'll figure out what we can do to try to entertain and support the requests. So anything else from anyone else?
Could I just thank the Finance Committee on behalf of Kevin and myself for your great work all year. I know that we certainly do enjoy the give and take of this committee. It is my favorite committee to work with. And geez, I'm saying that on recording too, so maybe it will be my last meeting with you guys. But in any event, great year as always. And Kevin and I really appreciate all your thoroughness and support and an ability to talk through issues with you. So thank you.
Excellent. Appreciate it. And I just echo the same thing and say thank you all. We had great attendance as usual. You all make an effort to be here. You're all committed to be part of the process, and I appreciate that. And it just shows in our minutes that people see we come, we try, we work, and we work through it as the committee that's expected. So appreciate it. Enjoy the 4th. Enjoy the summer. You have my email, cell phone, and we'll be in touch as appropriate.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Steve.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anyone entertain a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by. Thank you all. See you around town. Appreciate
Bye.
Yeah, guys. Have
Thanks.
a great night.
Thank you.
it. Kevin, Stephen, thank you.
Thank you. Great night.